So where we have to consider different things, right? So prior to knowing exactly what are the points, we have also gone through some of the introductory terms or some of the introduction related to the polity, particularly world's polity, and then how Indian polity is. Then the point was Indian polity and constitution. So in that case, we have also considered the meaning of uh,
Sir, I have a doubt related this point. May I ask?
just a minute. Yes.
Sir, on date 13, you have written that in state there is a council of ministry where governor is also playing a role
Okay,
as
I
like a
haven't said.
president in parliament.
Okay.
Sir, so can I consider that the governor is same like president, means giving the okay to the law or any act?
Yes, because whenever anything is, see, as I said, what it was, I said, the concern of president to the both the houses, as like here also governor will be the calling the meetings of particularly joint meetings, or he or addresses the house of legislature, right? So you must have seen राज्यपालांचं अभिभाषण, right? किंवा राष्ट्रपतींचं अभिभाषण. So these are the concepts, right? So in that way, both looks parallel. Only thing is that it is for the complete nation, and it is the second is for the state, which we can consider. One more thing. Again, whenever you are going to pass a bill, or what we can consider, so some of the things which are always being referred to the governor, and then it is always, but always keep in mind that if you want to make a rule and without center's permission, right, you cannot implement it. You can do it, but not. Okay, anything
Means
else? What?
governor passes any law or act. Can I consider like this?
Do you think that president passes any law or act?
Means sir, he gives means what we can say that he approves it, the act, like that.
So in the same
Give
way,
approval to
the
the
thing,
act that.
yes, the things are also known to the governor as well, right? So as such, we cannot say that the governor will pass the acts, right? But without his knowing, nothing yet happened, right? So a kind of approval is also there, right? So that would be the case which we can consider.
Okay.
So I was talking about the previously whatever we have considered, right? So in that particular case, gone through the definition of the political science, what we can consider the politics, which is nothing but the organization, political organization, right, of a city or a state, that is considered. Then the Protagoras and Georgias were the first to look into the definition, to put a political theory. Later on, the Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they have also conducted a scientific study of various problems which are concerning the state and government, right? So we can excuse me, we can consider the Aristotle regarded as in that case, as the father of science of politics, right? That to be in the West. So if we set up something in the West, then what about India? So India's first political thinker, right, we have considered is the Manu, and who has a book or who has every law in the form of a book known as Manusmriti. But later of it, Kautilya, or we famously know the Chanakya, formed and formulated the thinking of the political science or the politics, right, in a book called Arthashastra, right. So here you have two names to be remember, Manusmriti and Arthashastra, right. So then later on again, uh, we have considered something related to the India, right, whose name is Republic of India or Bharat Ganarajya, which we can consider, and then how we can define it. So definition of India is, as we have considered, is the union of the states, right? What kind of type or what type of government it says it is? So it is a sovereign socialist culture, secular, democratic government, right? Having a parliamentary system, right? Or we can consider the yes, parliamentary system of government. Then who is governing all these things? So we came across the uh, most fountain of the legal book, right? And that is nothing but the Constitution, right? So Constitution is governing everything which is adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26th of November 1949 and came into force on 26th of January 1950. So that we have considered. I think what it is offering, right? So that we have also considered. So it is envisaging the parliamentary form of the government, which is a federal in structure with the unitary features, right? Federal in structure. So we do have 28 different states and 8 different union territories, right? So in this way, we can consider the federal, right, structure. Then again, we have considered the president, who is the constitutional head of executive of the union, right? So I think in this fashion, I said governor will be the head, right, for the executive of the uh, state. So likewise, I think the statement I made must be in this context, right? So in this case, which we can have, the next point is nothing but the administrative divisions. So there are we have considered 28 different administrative divisions for 28 different states respectively, as well as for the union territories which we are considering. So here again we have considered the Council of Ministers, right? So the Council of Ministers, including Prime Minister, but Prime Minister is head of the Council of Ministers, right? What is the functioning of the Council of Ministers? The functioning of the Council of Ministers is to aid and advise the President, right? And therefore, we can say that the real executive powers vest in the Council of Ministers, right? So because of this, we have also considered the responsibility of Council of Ministers as, right, a Council of Ministers is a collective is collectively responsible for the Parliament, right, or for to the House of, let's say, particularly to the to the House of People, that is Lok Sabha, right, which we can consider. And I think later on I must have said something about governor, right? So as far as states are concerned, the governor is the head of the executive. Again, each of the state is having the council of ministers with the chief minister as its head, and therefore again we can say the real power are resting in the uh, council of minister, right? And therefore here again, as far as responsibility is concerned, we can say that the council of ministers of the state is collectively responsible to the legislature assembly of that particular state. I think then later on we have also considered the legislative branches, right? So no, don't consider this definition. Fine. So definition, see, we do have a federal, as I said, right? We are having the federal structure of government, right? So according to that, I said, how would you define? So whatever the definition you have made, that I don't know what you have put. That is your personal opinion. Okay, privately, that's fine. Don't put it, right? So I was talking about the legislative branch, right? So there are you have a legislative branch of India consists of Lok Sabha, which is also known as, its actual definition, it is a union country. That's what, right? So Lok Sabha, Lok Sabha, and then second is House of the. It is also known as the House of the People, or it is also known as the Lower House. Right? Then second is Rajya Sabha, which is also known as the Council of States, or we can consider it as the Upper House. Right? Then we have gone to the what powers or what actually Constitution is doing. Right? So Constitution, very first thing we have considered that, I think this was the last point which we have considered in the one of the previous sessions. So Constitution distributes the legislative powers between Parliament and, yes, between Parliament and what we can consider. Yes, between the Parliament and state legislatures. Constitution is also providing the residual powers in the Parliament, right? And as it provides residual, the power, so as like that, it is also providing a power to amend the Constitution, right? So till now, there are 104 amendments in the Constitution, right, which we can consider. Very recently, the 104th amendment was being done, right? Which by which we by which the reservation for Anglo-Indians have been removed, right? Or the known fact or the known point uh, that is related to economically weaker sections reservation, that was also given by making the amendment, right? Constitutional amendment, and that amendment is 103rd amendment, which we can consider, right? So these are the things. See, some of the amendments you need to always keep in mind, right? For example, Amendment 41, Amendment 42 and Amendment 44. So Amendment 42 was happened in 1976, and Amendment 44 was taken place in the year 1978. So why you have to give? I think we will be coming across such kinds of things. But since I mentioned these two amendments, so why you should always keep in mind these things? Because these are the amendments which are which we can consider the points making great impact. So 44th amendment has cancelled out the fundamental. No. Amendment and article. See, amendment is nothing but Sudharna Gadavani, right? Article is a different thing that is always there, right? So amendment will be always in the articles, right? So you can remove some part, you can add some part, you can change some part. So that could be the thing which we can consider, right? So yes, I was talking about the 44th amendment which we can consider. So according to it, the fundamental rights have been cancelled, right? And it was related to the property. What kind of property? Exactly what I want to tell you. शेतीच्या संदर्भातला I forgot that word, right? पहिले असं होतं की कोणाकडे 100 एकर 200 एकर 1000 एकर, right? अशा जमिनी राहायच्या. So according to that amendment, that has been cancelled out, right? And एका ठराविक लेवलच्या पुढे कोणाकडेही तेवढी जमीन राहणार नाही, right? असं अमेंडमेंट आहे. आणि त्याच्या अगोदर तो हा तसं करणं ही फंडामेंटल राईट होता, बट लॅटर ऑन इट इज नॉट द fundamental right. And because of this there was war, I mean there was disagreement between the judiciary and the parliament, or we can consider the government, right? So that is the case. Anyway, that we will be coming across some of these things. So it provides the power to amend the constitution, and it has a provision of independence of judiciary, CAG, right? So as I said, the judiciary, comptroller and auditor general, right, CAG, public service commission, the chief election commission, so they are having autonomy, right? That is, has a provision of independence of them. For example, in one of the previous exams, the question has been asked: the comptroller and auditor general of India submits their annual report or related to a kind of let's say field or on certain kind of issues, the report they have created, then to whom they will submit their report. And the options are, right, so the listen question again: CAG, that is comptroller and auditor of general, will submit their report to whom, right? So options are prime minister, president, deputy president, or speaker of the Lok Sabha, right? So these are the options. So your question was, yes, yes. Since you are trying to give the answer, so you must have understood the question. So some of you are saying speaker of Lok Sabha, right? But always keep in mind, Lok Sabha, as I said, Lok Sabha or the speaker of Lok Sabha is responsible, right, or is advisable by, sorry, is advisable to the president. So as such, if you see who is the supreme, the president, right? As I also said, that is the case. I think yesterday also I have written the questions related to the polity, right? And then I have purposely written the word president. So the questions related to president can be asked, right? So how you can think on these questions? See, one more thing. For each and every question coming in front of you, you might not have prepared. You might not have already read it and you have gone prepared with the question and the answer of each of these. Sometimes you have to apply your logic. Sometimes you have to apply your common sense. And because of it, many a times I say that common sense is not a common thing, though the people think that it is a common, right? So it is not that. In order to apply your common sense, you must have very high sense of humor, right? And then perfectly you can apply your common sense. So many a times you have to do that particular thing. And by understanding the question, you have to always, by understanding the question, you have to always answer of that answer for that particular question, right? So in this case, answer is president, right? Because see, there are things. What I said. So here the basics of this question are CAG is autonomous. CAG is autonomous. So if suppose CAG is autonomous, then judiciary is autonomous, PSC is autonomous, right? Election commission is autonomous. That means they must be concerning to, there must be some supremo. So in this structure, there is the president, which we can consider, right? Okay, that has put down anyway. So let's go to, so this was all about yesterday's and day before yesterday's session, right? So now, very first thing, here if I write a word called legal system. So what you will consider the legal system? Right. So as far as the legal system is concerned, so it is always considered, as I said, so the Constitution of India, Constitution of India is a legal system, right? So what do you understand from this word legal system? So everything, right? Suppose you are seeking for the advice, you are seeking for the rules and regulations, you are seeking for the procedure, you are seeking for the standards, right? You are seeking for the process of being carried out a event, right? You are seeking for the solution to an issue. So who will, in every aspect of these, who will help you? So legal system is necessary, right, in this particular case. And then who is the legal system? So legal system is a Constitution of India. Our Constitution of India is the legal system. What it is doing? So it is nothing but, right, what exactly I will always, or I always love to say these two words about this particular thing, right? Not only about Constitution, also some of the renowned personalities, right, in the field of science and technology, because they are actually motivating us, motivating the youngsters like me in carrying out certain kinds of researches. And that particular word is a fountain source, a fountain source of the legal system. So who is a fountain source of legal system? Is the Constitution of India. By and large, the same meaning, right? Here I have written simply the legal system. Some of you might be getting some difficulty in understanding it or digesting this particular terminology, but I suggest to digest this particular terminology, which is necessary. So what is meant by fountain source? बरेचदा आपण फटाके उडवलेले असतात, एखादी गोष्ट आपण वरती आकाशाकडे उडवत असतो, ठीक आहे. सो यू कॅन सी सम ऑफ द फाउंटेन्स, राईट. म्हणजे आपल्याला वेगवेगळी लाईट दिसू शकते, राईट. सो यू कॅन हॅव फॉर एक्झाम्पल, आय फॉरगॉट द ऍक्च्युअल वर्ड, बट एक झाड नावाची कॉन्सेप्ट असते, राईट. आपण जी उडवतो, दारू उडवतो, जी उडवल्या ते जेव्हा आपण पाहतो त्याच्याकडे, so you can see what that particular thing. So that is the fountain source, right? So fountain source, which is always fragmenting, right? So what I was talking, so the great personality in science and technology was always motivating us. That means what? By sharing his views, by sharing his research with us or in front of the youngsters in India, right? They are actually showering us, right, by their different aspects, which are called fountain sources, right? So in that particular case, for example, again, in another way, I will make you understand. So what constitution will provide? As I said, if you seek legal advice related to the let's say property, related to your personal life, right? So in between wife and husband, if something get happened, so there is again something which you can look into the constitution. Then let's say in any kind of legality, if you want, so you will always look into the constitution of India. So these are the things which you can keep in mind, right? So this will be the case is necessary. Fine. Now here there are some of the terms which are always coming across the constitution, right? For example, I will not write that particular thing, right? If someone asks, then I may write it separately. Let's say judicial branch, then flag description, right? Or the national days. So these are the things, or these are the terminologies which are related to not only these three, but also some other things or some other terminologies are there which are always associated with this. Right. So once now, if you consider a fountain source of the legal system is the Constitution of India, then what we can consider in this case, right? So the foundational law of the country, right, for any of the country which uh, ordens the fundamental principles, right, to the people or or the government, right? So see what I want to tell you. The fundamental law, right? So what we can consider constitution, or in constitution what are there? So there is a fundamental law of the country which contain or which ordens the fundamental principles on which the government is always based, right? See here, after every 5 years, the government is changing. Rather, I wanted to tell you, suppose after 5 years, different party coming into the powers. So they make some of the changes, but they cannot do the complete changes. That means what? They have to follow the fundamental principles which are ordained by, right, the fundamental law in the constitution about country, right? So irrespective of the party, each and every government has to follow some of the things. No doubt little bit changes are always there, right? That flexibility is also provided by the constitution. Then if you consider, right, so they will write the fundamental law,